Hello everyone, this is Alex from Bad Decks Play Badly, and I'm here with a new deck for you guys. It's based around a card I've been wanting to play for a while, but just never have got around to doing it, and I'm going to do it this week. This deck is called Dimir Shared Fate. So the deck is built around the card Shared Fate, as in the title, and it's a 5-mana enchantment, which basically says, if a player would draw a card, that player exiles the top card of one of their opponent's libraries face down instead. Each player may look at it, and look at and play cards they exiled with Shared Fate. So essentially what this means is, as soon as Shared Fate comes down, we play our opponent's deck and they play our deck. That's literally all it is. The good thing about playing Shared Fate is that you can make a deck which has 0 win conditions at all, and essentially they can't win as soon as they're playing your deck. There are some downsides of playing this card. It's mainly because they can still play cards that they have in their hand prior to Shared Fate coming down. So we've kind of built a control deck based around eliminating stuff in their hand and eliminating stuff on the board. So by the time Shared Fate comes down, we're in a great position and they just can't beat us. So how do we go about making essentially the world's worst deck if we don't want to be able to win unless we play Shared Fate? So first things first, we do need a lot of stuff just to get us to our Shared Fate, so our draw and all that stuff. So first I've got 4 copies of Opt. Just scry 1 and draw a card. It's very good. Just keep us sifting through our deck. 4 copies of Sewer Envisioned. The same thing really, but draw a card but scry 2 afterwards. And then realistically all we want is just to remove stuff from their hand and kill stuff on the board. That's all we want to do. So first off, I've got 3 copies of Fatal Push. Just destroy a target creature if it's converted mana cost 2 or less. You can revolt it and destroy a creature with converted mana cost 4 or less. However, we are playing a budget deck, so I don't have any fetch lands or anything like that. So it really is just a case of destroy target creature with 2 or less. That's fine because we're just trying to kill the early game stuff really. We've got 4 copies of Inquisition of Kozilek. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it with converted mana cost 3 or less. That player discards that card. So it's just hand hate, just to get rid of stuff in their hand. It's exactly what we want to be doing. We've got 4 copies of Mana Leak. So if they are playing stuff, we can just counter it. Maybe they want to destroy some enchantment hate or something like that, which they have in their hand. It's just a good catch-all against pretty much every deck. Just counter it. If they're going to put something which we can't deal with, we just want to Mana Leak it straight away. As more removal, we've got 2 copies of Bile Blight. I didn't play this before, and in previous decks I kind of wished I had played it. I played like Grasp or some other removal, 2-mana removal. But I thought this deck I'll give it a go. Bile Blight. So target creature and all other creatures with the same name as that creature gets -3/-3 into end of turn. It's a good way of killing small creatures, but if they've got multiple of them down, just killed all of them. It's almost like a mini board wipe for 2 if these circumstances are right. I've got more Hand Disruption. This is kind of the budget Thoughtseize, I guess, for me. It's a Fort Erasure, and target opponent reveals their hand. You may choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. And I get to survey 1, which is look at the top card of your library. You may put it into your graveyard. It's kind of just a scry sort of thing. We also have Doomfall. It's kind of a catch-all, so it's target opponent exiles a creature they control, or target opponent reveals their hand and we choose a non-land card from it and exile that card. It's just good to have 1 copy where we want to have creature removal or we want to have hand hate. It just kind of doubles up on the duties. We also have 4 copies of Damnation. So if whatever they put down we want to destroy, and it's destroy all creatures, they can't be regenerated. That's it. Just wipe their entire board. We have 4 Shared Fates. Namesake card. We need this card to win, so very important we have 4 of it. And we also have 1 copy of Brain Spoil. It's destroy target creature that isn't enchanted. It can't be regenerated. We're not really playing it for being able to remove creatures. We're pretty much playing it purely for the transmute cost of 3, which means we can pay 3 and search out a copy of Shared Fate. So it's essentially our 5th copy of Shared Fate. We've also, which is very important, got 4 copies of Prophetic Prism. The reason for this being in a deck is that 1, it's a little bit like Opt and Sewer Visions. It keeps us drawing through our deck because we get to draw a card when it comes into play. But more importantly, we get to add 1 mana of any colour by paying a mana. So when we're playing our opponent's deck, if they don't just scoop up on the spot, we actually do have to finish up the game and play their deck. We need to be able to play with their mana. We could draw into their lands anyway and get it that way. But having this really does just speed that along by just being able to play any mana of any colour. So it's very, very, very useful. That is the main board. As you can see, it's just annoy them until we play a Shared Fate. It's not very complicated, it's not very clever, but it will be fun. I've never played a Shared Fate deck, and I actually haven't done any practice games with this or like seen if the deck works. So we could get a lot of losses, but we'll we'll try our best, yeah? I'll go through the lands just quickly. They are budget sort of alternative lands. I've got 4 copied of Choke Estuary, so as it enters battlefield you may reveal an island or a swamp card from your hand. If you don't, it comes in tapped. Okay, usual sort of tap land. I've got 4 copies, this is my non-budget land, but whatever you've got will work. But I just happen to have 4 copies of Dark Slick Shores. Enters a battlefield tapped unless you control 2 of your other lands, which is fine. We want stuff early. If it comes in tapped a little bit later on, it's not as big an issue, but we do want to get Opting, Inquisitioning, Fatal Pushing just very, very early. I've got 2 copies of just islands, self-explanatory. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5 copies of swamps. I love that art. Look at that. And 4 copies of, if you're not new to the channel and you've seen my other decks, I do like the Scry land, so just 4 copies of Temple of Deceit. Very importantly in deck, we have 4 copies of Ghost Quarters. Not only is it just good against Tron and other, you know, land-based stuff, but the main reason it's here is that a lot of decks will run creature lands, and we need a way around creature lands. We can obviously Fatal Push them or Bile-Blight them, but we just need a backup plan for just destroying anything good on their land. We don't want to do all of this work to clear their hand and clear the board, but then they just beat us down with Celestial Colonnades. So it's just very, very important in this deck to have Ghost Quarters. Okay, we'll go to our sideboard. So the ways this deck loses is essentially against heavy control. As I said, creature-based lands, or like Tron, for example, they can get their stuff down before we can do anything bad to them, and graveyard decks. So I built a sideboard based around those areas where we will be weak. So I've got 2 copies of Dispel, just so we don't get our Shared Fate countered by control decks. 1 copy of Duress, just for more hand hate against control decks. I've got 3 copies of Nile Spellbombs. This is for graveyard-based decks. We just can't deal with if we can kill their stuff. But the problem is, because they're playing our deck, anything we play, however, it will go back into their graveyard. So even if we play stuff like, I don't know, any like zombies which are coming back, if they kill it, which, you know, they will be able to because they are playing our deck, we do have a lot of kill spells, it will go back to their graveyard and they can then play it from their graveyard. So it's very, very useful to have a graveyard hate. I've got 4 copies of Spreading Seas, just for more stuff against creature lands and Tron. Very good. And plus it keeps sifting us through our decks, we get to draw a card. More board wipes, only the 1 copy, but it's Cry of the Carnarium. All creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn. Exile all creatures cards in all graveyards that were put there from the battlefield this turn. If a creature would die this turn, exile instead. So it's just another board wipe for creatures with 2 toughness or less. Just another catch-all. This is the awesome card in the deck. Bribery, 1 copy of it. We can fetch it up with our Transmute card. And it's essentially, well, it's just search your target opponent's library for a creature card and put that card onto the battlefield on your control. Then that player shuffles their library. So this really works well in this deck, because if our opponent draws it when they're playing our deck, we don't care, we have no creatures in our deck. However, if they've got like a big Emrakul or something like that, and we draw into this, we can just essentially steal their Eldrazi straight away, and just, this will win win games by itself in the right circumstances. So do not overlook this card, it's very good. And more stuff and just stuff for planeswalkers. You don't really see this card too much because a lot of people would maybe use, I don't know, like Hero's Downfall, but it's quite a new one. So it's destroy a target creature or planeswalker on the front half, and on the return half, which costs 4, is just exile target card from a graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. The good thing about this is that 1, it's just extra hate against graveyard stuff, and also it doubles as planeswalker hate, which is fine. But also the aftermath part of it could be like not a win condition, but we can get zombies, because even if they played the Nether part and destroyed a creature or planeswalker we control, it will still go to our graveyard at the end of it. So we can still play the aftermath side of it, which is exactly what we want to be doing. So we could just get some free, zombies out of it, and it'll just, kind of work out that way. It's not a very complicated deck. As you can see, it really is just kill all of their stuff, disrupt their hand, play a Share the Fate and win. But I think that's going to be fun. I'm not sure how well this will work. It's a very flawed game plan, but when it does work, I think it'll be brilliant, because if it was me, I would be pulling my hair out if every time they played a Share Fate I've just lost. So I'm really hoping this deck will do well, and I think it's just going to be a fun one to play. So yeah, if you like the deck, please give me a like, please give me a subscription or subscribe, that'd be great. And yeah, leave a comment if there's any areas this deck could be improved upon. Please let me know. There are areas I know it can be improved upon, because I'm trying to keep it relatively budget. So if you wanted to cheap out a little bit, you could take out the Inquisitions, maybe put in more Doomfalls, more Fort Erasures, and pretty much that. Damnations, there are cheaper board wipes, so you can change the Damnations out. This is very much a what would you like to put in these slots. Opt-in Serum Visions, there are even budget versions of that. And as well, you can make it more expensive and more, a lot better. You can put in the fetch lands. You can put in Fort Caesars instead of Fort Erasures. You can have, there's just plenty of upgrades you can have. But yeah, that is pretty much the deck. So if you like, please let me know. Alright guys, and I'll see you for the games. Bye.